Hello, Mr. Hendro.
Hello. Da, da, da. Okay. And we'll wait for everybody to get in. Today we are covering electrical power generation, electrical conductors, and resistance. Terms: voltage, amperes, ohms, formula, Ohm's law. All right. I think that's a good start. Nobody else in?
I don't know. I can go text them.
Sure, you may if you wish.
Wow, guys, this is awesome.
What
1,
is?
2, 3, 4. Me.
You're awesome.
Yes, thank you. You said it. Aw.
I am so gullible.
I'm so good at mind games.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Mr. Andrew, can you tell us next time there's a Zoom?
I did on Monday.
He did,
And I
Jonathan.
did this morning. I did this morning during our
History.
on the chat.
Nobody. Oh my, never mind. Okay.
I was on the chat this morning.
Jonathan, Shorim asked in the group chat and he answered.
Yeah.
1
Okay.
p.m. Nice.
I've got 10 people. Great. If you want to follow along, we are covering sections 34.2, 34.2, 34.3, 34.4, 34.5, and 34.6. So we are going to be sections 34.2 all the way to 34.6. That's what we want to cover today.
I'm so tired.
Good.
Andrew. What do you mean good?
I'm so tired.
I don't know how we're so tired. I mean, it's not as if we're doing anything strenuous.
I know. I mean, like, technically.
Mr. Andrew, the teachers are giving us 5 times the homework. Of course, we're going to be using our big brains a lot.
Are you doing the laundry?
No. And
Are you-
I did it once after I came here.
Are you doing the dishes?
Yeah.
No.
Are
I'm
you-
doing
too.
cleaning though.
Are you mopping the floors?
Yes.
No.
Mr.
No.
Hendrik,
Are
You mopping the floors or
Mr.
are you vacuuming the floors?
Mr.
Oh,
Hendrik,
I'm
Actually,
vacuuming. Never mind.
I'm vacuuming the couches
I don't know why I'm so tired.
because I tried to mop the couch and I got in trouble.
Okay, Mr. Hendra, listen here. You're how old again? What, like 40, 41?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're 15 and 16, okay? Or 14 maybe.
Great.
We should have like more.
I'm young,
energy.
unlike you,
Hey, listen here,
Jonathan.
Mr. Boomer. You're a boomer,
Yeah,
okay?
I'm young, unlike you guys.
You don't say that. My dad's
Younger than all of you guys.
That makes a lot of sense, Becky.
Okay.
Why
All
am I
right,
so
let's-
tired?
let's- Let's get in with the elephant in the room to start. I'm going to stop sharing this to start with, and I will try not to share screen for the test that we're doing. I'm currently making your test, so.
You have a test?
Well, for the end of this chapter, I want to get the test done first so that I teach stuff that's on the test rather than I go, okay, at the end, I'm going to put this test, and there's nothing related. So
Like
Isn't
the
that
first
what you
test.
usually
Like the
do?
first test.
I'm trying not to, Becky. I'm trying not to. I am so sorry for torturing you like that in the past.
Don't worry, we're used to it.
That's
Maybe.
even worse. Okay. Let's go with the elephant in the room with the two things that have come up. So let's start with the project first. This will be your lab grade. So this lab will be, basically you're going to be doing an energy survey of your house.
But Mr.
Oh.
Hendro, I don't exactly stay in this house for long. And
Mr. Hendro, my house, I don't think it's. I'm pretty sure it's almost nearly impossible.
Mr.
to live
Hendro, I don't
all
have
the
a house.
electrical equipment.
yeah, it's not exactly a
So
house.
you're outside in a car?
It's
No,
not my house.
Mr. Hendro, there are other things that aren't called houses.
Well,
Have,
Then what are you staying in?
whatever you're staying in, there is some
Becky,
way
home
that
and house is different.
there is a
Still
way
a
that
house.
people will measure the amount of electricity that goes into that house, and then they will say, pay us. That's what I want you to figure out. So if you look at the lights, if you look at the devices coming out of the wall sockets, just find them, catalog them, and find out how many hours they roughly ran the last week or something, if your power bill comes weekly. If your power bill comes monthly, estimate how much they would have been used in a month. So if I say, okay, I switch these lights on maybe for about an hour every month because I don't really turn them on. I know that I use the computer for maybe about 12 hours a day, or at least I'm leaving it on for 12 hours a day. So if I calculate the amount of power that uses, multiply it by 12, I get my power usage. Yes. No, don't. Home, house, don't worry about that. The point of the matter is I just want you to make a list of all the appliances you have, equipment, electrical equipment in there, get measurements on it. You have to figure out from the voltage how much energy these things use. Sometimes the devices already have these determined. For example, you have like 100-watt light globes or 60-watt light globes. They'll tell you what the power usage is. Televisions will also have the power usage. Sometimes they might not. If you can't figure out what the power usage is, we'll work on that as we go along. Anyway, this is due in 2 weeks.
Okay.
Okay, so that's the first thing. The
When you
second
say
thing.
all, do you want us to do actually all?
Yes, because how do you get your power bill?
Have you
Get a
seen my
power bill? Do you get a power bill for each room?
Have you seen my house?
Mr. Hendro, have you seen his house?
Have you seen my house?
It's slightly larger than normal.
Yeah.
Wow.
Cause
Wait, no, have you guys
Slightly.
Becky's
have,
house?
Have you
'cause
seen
I have
Becky's
company
house?
here. Like
Yeah, let's take a
people
look
stay
at
at my
Becky's
house.
house. It would
Do you
take
know?
like
Do you
years to
know?
measure
Do you
it.
know? Do you know? I actually don't feel bad about this at all, because if you have a giant, lovely, big house, you can do a giant, lovely survey of your electrical output. I
Bruh,
actually have
Becky
no
gonna
sympathy.
have like
I
pages
don't
of results.
go. I don't go up there in a really long time already.
Well, you'll need to have some sort of. You'll need to be able to do. You want to do your calculation of how much power you think you use. Then you check your the actual power bill, and compare. Well, how far off was I?
I think I use like 50%.
You'd be surprised. I always thought that we'd be using like really, really low amounts of power, and then I checked the actual power bill. It's like, what? That's like 2 times as much as what I expected. Anyway, you'll figure this out eventually. Anywho, moving on. The next thing you have is the homework. The homework will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 questions. There are 11 questions there. They're from, I should have put this in, page, actually there's nothing on page 545. Oh, there's 545, 547.
5, 6, 7,
Yep.
8, 9, 10, 11.
Okay. This is also, whenever you get the chance to actually do this, you might want to wait till we finish these in class. Okay. Now that everybody's in, we can get to the actual task at hand. Stop share screen, whiteboard, share. Is that still there? Great. All right. Starting off, let's go with electrical power generation. Electrical power generation is described in section 34-2, I think. Or I could be completely wrong here.
Nope, that's electrical current.
Okay. All right. Did we not talk about that? Fair enough.
I think
Alright.
this is the first time we talk about 334 point something.
Well, let's review for what we did last week. From Monday. Voltage is to flowing electricity as something is to flowing water.
Yes.
Answers? How do I get answers from you? Can you put in the chat?
Yes.
What have we got? Why is the chat not popping up? There we go. Hello, mate. No, lad. That's not what it is. What's the answer to the question? Voltage is to flowing electricity as water. Sorry. Voltage is to flowing electricity as blank is to flowing water.
Could you write that down so I could repeat that in my head?
It's right on the top of the screen.
Okay. Voltage.
From Monday, voltage is to flowing electricity as blank is to flowing water. No, not liquid. You remember the picture from Monday?
Yeah.
If you're on page 532, you'll see the picture from Monday. Ooh, Tim. Sharp lad. Yes, it is indeed pressure. It is indeed pressure. So voltage is to electricity as pressure is to flowing water. This is a fantastic analogy to give because it kind of gives you an idea of what current is. So if we then talk about current, if you describe current in water, if you describe a current of water, what determines the amount of current? If I have flowing water and I have a straw and I put a negative pressure and I go, and what happens to the water? If I have a cup of water and I put a negative pressure through the straw, I put a negative pressure here, what happens to the water? Yeah, it flows. Which direction? It flows to negative. It flows to the negative. It flows up the straw. Thank you, Karina. Well done. So if it's flowing up the straw this way, if I have a straw that's this big and I use the negative pressure to move it up through a straw, how would that be different if I had a bucket? And that's oh goodness, who can't draw a bucket? Apparently, I can't draw a bucket. I have
It's
a bucket. If I have a bucket of water and I use a big PVC, and I use a PVC pipe.
What? Why?
If I use a PVC pipe that's big, like on the, and I suck the water up the PVC pipe, what's the difference in terms of current there?
Like Tim said, the pressure thing. You want to explain how that works?
I'm trying to think of an example. If you had a small pipe carrying water and you had a river, what's a river that we know? How many of you have seen Sungai Berantas that goes through Surabaya? But you guys have seen a river, correct? Actually, that's probably the best example, is I just compare a pipe and a river, because that's unambiguous. So if you have a river and you have a pipe with water in it, which one has more current?
More electrical current?
No, more liquid current.
The river?
The river has more current. What makes it have more current?
Isn't it because
There's
it's
more
flowing?
water?
Sorry, what was that, John?
Isn't it because it's moving and flowing?
If you have the same speed, let's say they're both flowing at the same speed, 2 meters a second. If they're both flowing at 2 meters a second, which one has more current?
The
Why?
river
Why?
Is it because of the
got more water?
It's got more water. It's physically got more water molecules moving.
wait, is the pipe like inside the river or something?
No. I'm just saying, if you had a pipe running just on the side of the road or something, if you had a pipe running in your wall, and the pipe's this big and it's flowing at 2 meters a second, you have a river and it's flowing at 2 meters a second, which one has more current?
Yeah, the river.
Because if I spray you with the hose or pipe or whatever it is, you're going to go, that's making me wet. But if you're in the river, you're going to
That's
go,
only done a
it's
certain
making me drown. Okay? The
I mean,
river
if the pipe is like as big as the river, then
yes. But this kind of comes to the idea of current. Current has to do with how many electrons move. And as we know, electrons have a set amount of charge. So if you have a set amount of charge moving per electron, if you can get more electrons moving, you're also going to get more current. So this leads us to the idea of what do you use to carry your electrical current? What do you use to carry your electrical current?
Conductors?
For example, what's the word for this?
is it like plastic, the one that holds it together?
Copper?
If I have a battery and I want to attach it to a light globe, how do I get the current to flow from the battery to the light globe?
You gotta have wires or something.
Right, thank you. That's what I was looking for. You want to have these connected to the battery via a wire.
Such a beautiful drawing.
Okay, now when you do this wire thing, when you have the current flowing through a wire, how much current can you get to flow?
Is it in volts?
No, volts is not current. Current is measured in amperes or coulombs per second. I'll put that in here.
In amps?
Are you supposed to?
It's a thing called an ampere. An ampere is measured as 1 coulomb per second. Now remember, a coulomb is a measure of charge and a second is a measure of time. So it's how much can you fit through in a second. Okay?
It says each coulomb of charge that is made to flow in a circuit that connects to the end of is energized with 1.5 joules. Is that what you're looking for?
So smart.
Page number?
534, the figure 34.3.
Yeah, they're working something out, I'm assuming. Yeah, it's a 1.5 volt battery. We'll get to Ohm's law in a minute. I just want you to see that current is the amount of charge flowing per second. If mass gives gravity the field strength, then electrons give current its field strength. So the amount of current that moves and the pressure difference being the voltage which is what makes it move. That's where you get your concept of current from. The number of electrons that actually move. I will contradict this in a minute though, because
it's voltage over resistance.
yeah, we'll get to you've already jumped over to resistance and stuff. I might as well do it this way.
Wait, that's not what I meant.
Bruh.
So if
That
we've
is
gone,
not what I meant, Mr. Enjo.
so if you have a wire,
Oh Lord.
what you will find is that wire will allow a certain amount of current to flow, just the same way as a pipe will allow a certain amount of current to flow. Can you have a guess? What makes more current flow?
It's the area, how big it is.
Yep. What else?
How strong?
Think about conductivity.
The voltage.
Yep. The voltage will make it. The voltage will have an effect, but your
Conductivity.
your conductivity of the material will have an effect. And the last one is the length. Because what's happening here, when you start off, you don't start off a situation where there is 0 electrons in the middle. There will always be some number of electrons in the middle. And the reason why there will always be some electrons is because most wires are electrically stable. Like if you hold up a wire, it's not going to cause a static electric field because it's not positively or it's not negatively charged. It will be neutrally charged because all the electrons will be attached to an atom. What will happen when you put a charge in is you will get some electrons move in and some electrons will move out. Okay? That's what will happen. In fact, it is such a small amount that move in and out that I think it's something like on average you get about, it was something minuscule small, like the speed at which the electrons travel inside the speed of electrons in a circuit which is in 34.9 is only about 0.1. Sorry, my bad. 0.01 centimeters every second. So it's like 1/10 of a millimeter a second. That's how fast the electrons move. So it's not much at all.
And how does it even work?
What happens is when you put a little bit of charge in this way, you get the electrons move all the way and bounce around through them. They will move between their positions really, really fast, speed of light even. The trouble is when they move, they'll hit another atom, and then the electron will bounce in another direction, then bounce and bounce and bounce and bounce. It's in all directions at the same time. But the net movement is about 1/10 of a millimeter a second. They're moving everywhere. It's very fluid, but it's kind of like if you were to pour water through a sieve, like a million sieves in a row, the water's still going to go through, but it's going to go everywhere at the same time. Have you ever tried to put water through a cloth? Like you've held a cloth to the end of a hose, it doesn't go through immediately, it kind of just percolates through.
Yeah.
That's more similar to the way electrons will move through a conductor. Okay. Anyway, we've jumped ahead here. So if voltage works as the current, is the pressure, and this is referred to as joules per coulomb. Joules per coulomb. Yeah, it's 1 joule per coulomb. If that's 1 joule per coulomb, and amperes is 1 coulomb per second, can you figure out how you might be able to relate these two? Don't pressure yourself. We can get to that.
1 joule over amperes per second. No, amperes. No, wait, never mind. Don't look at me.
Well, actually, I'll ask you a question. How many electrons are there in 1 ampere? How many electrons are there in 1 ampere?
I thought an ampere is like saying like miles per hour.
Yep, but there will be a certain number of miles that you pass in that hour. So if you say 60
you're just
miles an
talking
hour,
about-
that's 60 miles in an hour. So how many amperes, in 1 ampere, how many electrons move?
Does
You're
it,
talking
does it
about
say in the book?
10 coulombs?
You can figure it out.
Are you
How
talking
many,
about just
how many, how many,
one
how
coulomb?
many coulombs is 1 electron?
Just that weird formula.
Come on,
Some
something. Let's get the sign first. This is one of the questions on your test.
yeah, this one I got wrong.
17, right?
Nope,
Or
that
s-
was your answer. That was the correct answer for 100 electrons.
Oh, right. It was 18 or 14 or I don't remember. 19. Okay.
That's your measurement for 1 coulomb. So that for 1 electron, which means that for 1 coulomb you would need to have 1.6 times 10 to the 19 electrons.
Oh.
It's a lot.
What's the formula of ohm?
We're getting to that. Okay. So if you know that 1 electron is that much, if I then stick that through the calculation thingy, so I have 1 divided by 1.6
Mr. Andrew?
e 9 negative 19. Yes.
I am worried for our exam
Why?
because these equations ain't staying in my head.
Maybe we should just do brute force rote learning, and I'll give you 20 equations to do so it sticks. Would that be helpful? Jonathan?
Sorry, I didn't know my mic was muted. No. I
Really?
don't think it will.
So you're
I mean,
not.
it probably will, but I would not like that.
So your comfort is more important than your performance on the tests?
Look, John.
I'm actually just trying to get this to a logical conclusion. Talk to me afterwards about it if you think you actually need extra tutoring.
Can
Okay,
we
never mind. I don't want that, so I'll
Can-
probably not stay.
can we just write down the formulas?
You could. If you want to just go with the formula here, an ohm relates a joule to a volt to amp, relates volts and amperes. So very, very simply, ohms are volts over amperes. Okay?
Mr. Hendro?
That's how you figure that out. If you want to do it in terms of terminology, your current will be equal to your voltage divided by your resistance. What does that
Mr.
even
Hendro?
mean? Yep.
Can we take the formulas into the test?
Why not?
Yes.
Why would you not be allowed to take formulas into the test?
I don't know. Maybe you want us to memorize it or something.
I don't get it. Yours.
Because
I've expected you guys to bring your textbooks into the test.
Oh yeah, it's coronavirus. Oh my god.
I do not have coronavirus.
That is
Be
not.
quiet.
I forgot we're stuck in our house.
Okay. So what you should see from Ohm's law is that as you increase the resistance, you get less current going through.
what are ohms again?
It's a unit of resistance. Basically, if you have, let's just have a look in terms of a wire here. A
Wait,
wire,
so then is it? Wait.
can have length. It can have length. It can have cross section. Let's just say area, cross sectional area.
What's
the
that?
So if you cut it, it's how thick it is. Like you can have very small.
Mr. Andrew?
You can have very small wire, and you can have very big wire. You have the cross sectional area. You have the conductivity of the material. Conductivity.
True.
Yeah.
For resistance, like you said, ohm is a unit of resistance,
Yep.
right? Then, and current is voltage over resistance, and ampere is voltage over ohm. Like,
Yep.
what does resistance like? How do we get
I'm
like
trying.
a number for it?
I'm trying to show you an example of this. So let's
Okay.
have a wire. Now, different wires will have a different amount of resistance happening. So if you know that in a wire, what's happening is the electrons do not just travel in one direction, they will bump around. That bumping around causes kinetic energy, which will then end up as, if I was to touch
Electricity?
a light, no. If you have a light globe and you touch, and the light globe has no electricity running through it, does it give out light?
No.
Does it give out heat?
No.
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 Right. So what happens is they bump into the other parts until the point where it actually starts producing heat, light, and other forms of kinetic, like results of kinetic energy. Could be electromagnetic energy, could be a bunch of things. But the point is that you're losing energy to the system. If you have a superconductor, something with basically zero resistance, the electrons move through without bumping into anything. Just the same way as if you have a tube of water, a hose, and you squeeze it, the more you squeeze it like that, the less water is going to get through. Resistance is basically how much of the stuff is kept from going through. Okay? So what would happen if I had a wire that was longer? Do you think the resistance would go up or down? There's more things to bump into. The resistance goes up. What about the area?
It also goes up.
So wait. So if you have a larger area, actually I might just do a plus sign here. Make it clearer. So if you have more area, you think the resistance goes up? How would that work with a pipe? If I increase the diameter of the pipe, does the resistance go up or down?
Up. Wait.
So less water can get through if I make the pipe bigger.
No. More water can go through.
Right. So the resistance goes down. The larger the larger the cable is, the more electrons can flow through at the same time. Conductivity. Now, don't be surprised here. You can actually change the conductivity of a wire. If you heat up most metals, their conductivity actually goes down. If you increase the conductivity, If you increase the conductivity, the resistance goes
Down.
down. Obviously. Conductivity and resistance are basically the opposite term. Okay? Anytime someone says the conductivity has gone up, the resistance has gone down. You might do this by, for example, cooling a material so that it's so cold that the electricity just goes zip through.
Is there a measurement for conductivity?
It's normally an inverse ohm, so it would be like 1 over an ohm. The reason why is because these ohms cannot be measured directly. It's very difficult to physically measure the movement of the electrons. So that's why you have all these derivative terms over here. These derivative terms are ways that you can determine what your resistance is. Let's have a go with Delin.
What?
I'm going to use Delin here. So let's assume that these wires are basically zero in terms of their have no resistance. I'm going to put these wires as no resistance. However, I am going to put Delin in between them here.
I look beautiful. Oh, I've pants. Great.
Wait, Mr. Indro, doesn't an electroscope measure the conductivity or something?
I look more handsome in that picture.
Okay. So let's work with Delin here.
Is that my hair? Or is
That's your hair. Your current. Let's see if you're getting electrocuted or not.
The height is just like real life.
What is the voltage of a battery?
Depends. 220? Is that too much?
For a battery?
Bro.
Wow.
I don't know. 100.
Somebody find me the volts of a battery, please.
What? A or
Let's
which
just go
one?
an A battery or an AA battery. I don't mind which one.
12.6.
Oh goodness, sorry. I did not mean to press that.
Dylan, are you trying to burn some people with those batteries?
I was trying to open up the chat thing. Nope. What's the voltage of a normal AA battery, or even a AAA battery?
1.5.
1.5 volts.
AA batteries.
Oh, never mind.
Okay, so a AA battery is 1.5 volts. So you know the 1.5 volts. How much power is there in one of those? Because you can one of the interesting things is you can determine the amount of power something has. So they normally work out a lot of this stuff using energy. So if I go from a battery and figure out how much power is there in one battery, how much energy is there in a AA battery? Okay, so it has about 3 watt-hours. That's not much. That's fine. Okay, so it has about that much watt-hours. Okay, so we can then work out that out because you have a relationship between work. Work is measured in Tell me about work,
Joules.
someone.
Work is measured in joules per.
Per what?
Let me see. Let me go
Not per
check.
watt.
Is that power? No, I don't think it's distance. That's work. Sorry, wait. I just asked for work, didn't I?
isn't joules work? It's just joules?
Second. It's just joules.
Work is force times distance.
Yep. And that would mean that the force times distance is measured in joules. I'm trying to get the joules per second. That's what I'm trying to get, is joules per second. What is the unit for that? What are you measuring there? It's a unit of power. What's his unit of power, joules per second? Okay, so I can get this joules per second quite easily. So if I was to have do I divide the voltage by the amperes or the? I've got a joule here. I've got joules here and I've got seconds there. Can I turn those the joule per coulomb and the coulombs per second into joules per second somehow? How do I do that?
Could you repeat that?
You have voltage and you have amperes.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have your voltage multiplied by your amperes, you get your power.
Okay. I need to write this down.
I'm not sure that you do. I'm just trying to figure out how much you get electric shock.
Like how much thing until you get an electric shock? Oh,
well, the thing is, I was trying to answer the question of how do you, I said that you determine ohms like from measuring other things. It's very difficult to figure out ohms by itself. However, there are certain values for resistance that are common. So I'll use the resistance values that are commonly given for the human body. So if I have your resistance, and this will vary on a bunch of things. So if you're under normal circumstances, if you're very dry, it might have 500,000 ohms. That could be your resistance. If it's very wet, you could have only 100 ohms. So your resistance would be a lot smaller. You're normally at about 100,000 ohms. Okay? We all good there?
Yes.
Okay. So let's figure out how many amperes we are sticking onto Delin here. I don't need the watt hours. I could potentially use that to work it out, but I don't think we want to, do we?
Nope.
Okay, so we're not going to work that out. Let's just start with having you at very, very dry. How many amperes go through you?
Right now?
Yeah, why don't you work this out? Okay. Okay. Can I get someone to work this out?
Yes, I got you.
Okay. What do we got?
Amperes equals 1 coulomb per second. Okay, we know
You
that.
just need to use Ohm's law. That's the only one you need to use is Ohm's law.
The one that volts per amperes or the one that voltage?
That's all you need to know.
Voltage over resistance. Okay.
Current equals voltage over resistance. Now, your voltage is given and your resistance is given. Both of these you know. So if you're very dry, what is the current that goes through? How much current goes through?
1.5 divided by
By how much?
1.5 divided by
Half a million.
1.5 divided by 500,000.
Yep.
Yeet.
It's going to be really, really small. It's gonna be-
0.003.
So
Yep,
no
okay.
yellow lightning.
Okay, so the amperes that can be felt, 0.001 amperes can be felt. Like you can feel that, but only just. So how much was that? 0.00,
3.
0.003, that's it? I would have thought it was more than that.
Yes, it is.
As in much less than that. 1.5 divided by 500,000. 0.015.
0.015.
No. That's
Wait.
the value.
Are you sure?
Yes. That's how many amperes go through. That is still over 1 million electrons. That is still over 1 million electrons. It does it's
my
like
bad.
yeah, so it's still actually it's still over 1 million electrons.
0.000003.
Yeah, it's still a million electrons.
Yes.
Let's go if you're very wet. Let's go 100 divided
One-
by sorry. 1.5
0.015.
1.5 divided by 100.
100. 0.015A.
Okay, can you feel that?
No.
You
Can I?
can actually.
A little, right?
0.0?
It's still 0.
5 divided by 100. 0.15. So you can, if you had a wet hand and you put them to the connectors of a AA battery, you could still feel that. In fact, 0.05 is painful. And 0.01 involuntary muscle contraction. Okay.
Whoa. What happened if it reaches like 1?
You did. 0.1. This is just the table from page 537. 0.15 amperes would be a loss of muscle control.
Sandra?
And if you get to 0.07, then you have disruption.
Maybe you dead.
Yeah, it stops your
Sandra?
heart.
Sandra?
Yeah.
About that battery thing?
Yeah.
What about these batteries? The batteries that are they're like this. Oops.
Like what?
Like this.
Where?
If you like put that on, these.
Can't see what you're. The one where?
The Panasonic one.
I can't see anything. I can't see anything, Billy. You mean the
Anything.
9-volt batteries?
Yeah, the one with the thing on it. If you put that on your tongue, does it zap you?
Yes, it should. It should zap you quite badly. Did you mean the batteries that? Wait. Do you mean the batteries that look like this? And they
The
have.
ones with both things on one end.
Yeah, and this is a 9-volt battery. They have that, and they have another one there. And one of these is, yeah, it looks a bit like that. It looks a bit like that. That's a 9-volt battery.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's going to be, that's going to be 6 times as powerful.
Okay.
Okay, so if you're very dry, it's not going to do anything to you. If you have dry skin, it'll still be almost unfeelable.
If you put it on your tongue, it'll zap you.
Billy, don't put it on your tongue.
Your tongue conducts.
I'm gonna do it.
The water and the ions in your saliva and on your skin, especially sweaty skin, will conduct electricity quite badly. Well, quite much better.
Okay.
All right. So what you're changing there is the conductivity. Now, if I increase the distance between it, like if I have it like this, what if I changed one thing here? Instead of it being there, I do it there. What happens? Is that better or worse?
What?
Will you get a worse shock if it's on the same hand, or will you get a worse shock if it's on a different hand?
Isn't it worse
Same
if it's on the
hand.
same?
Yeah.
Why?
Same hand is worse.
Because
That's
it's more
more-
concentrated or something?
It has less
No,
space to move through.
It has less distance to move.
Ah, yes.
It's more conductive. It's much easier to get a spark over a really small distance than it is to get it to travel over a larger distance.
What's that comment you post, John?
How else can we? So that's the length. And we change the conductivity. How else can we increase the shock to Dylan?
Why don't you?
Tell him some, life-threatening things.
No. We've changed the length.
He'll come to shock.
We've changed the length and we've changed the conductivity. What else can we do to shock Dylan more?
So I should put both hands on the battery.
Yep, that'd be worse. What's another way we could do it?
We could
Stick him in his eyes.
Wait,
No. Look again.
How do we less the conductivity though?
So we've increased we reduced the length, increasing the conductivity. We've increased the reducing the resistance. We've increased the conductivity by making him wet. What else can we do?
You gotta just.
I need to swim in the Nile River.
Pardon?
I need to swim.
No. We could do one more thing.
You just need to put the wires in his mouth.
What?
I mean,
No. That's not the way you make it worse.
Put it into your stomach.
No. Look.
put it in your.
Look at this thing. You have length and you have conductivity. You've changed those two things. What haven't you changed?
The area.
How could you do that?
You make the area big.
How you make it bigger?
How could you make the area bigger?
You get thicker wires.
You could use thicker wires, or you could wrap it around his arm a few times.
Yes, not a few times, like 50 times.
Oh, I'm glad to see you're such a nice friend.
Yes.
I mean, Mr. Hendra,
That will allow more electrons to move onto the surface of his skin at once.
But,
Yeah,
I
that's
mean,
the
like,
point.
Mr. Hendra, if it's like a 10 wraps, like example, if it's like
Yeah,
10
it's only going
wraps-
to be the wrap that's closest to the thing, because
So
if you have here and if you wrap it around your arm, if it goes from here to here and there's another wrap there, it's the same type of electrons going through. Your potential difference is now lost.
Wait, no, it's like
It's
if
the
you
same
have like
pressure.
if you have 10 wraps here, right? And then and you have like 50 wraps, it doesn't gonna make a difference, right?
Wait,
'Cause
Mr. Andrew,
No,
what if we
you only need
cover
to-
him with wires? Like,
you only
what
need like
if,
one wrap, right? Just, or like two.
Well, it has to do with where it goes from and to. Mind you, if you only have it on the skin between here and here, it will have a lot more current, but there's not that much to damage in between. The real damage happens if you have it between an organ or something that's really damaging.
so wrap it around his heart or something? Does that make it worse?
I really hope you never try that.
No, the point is trying to
mean,
make
like,
it worse, right?
How do you wrap it around the heart though? Like
You stick it in your chest.
I guess if you were to zap someone on the hand as relative to zapping someone under the armpit, for example, that way you have the blood flow directly to the heart. It's you're decreasing the distance by maybe like I don't know 4/5.
Mr. Hendro,
Yes.
if I wanna make like a homemade defibrillator, do I just get like batteries and be like? Tss, tss?
Don't make a homemade
Dylan, you should use a car battery.
deflubbulator. Don't use a homemade deflubbulator.
I mean, like it's possible, right?
Use a car battery. Dylan.
Here's the thing: they don't really
Bro.
want to. You need to be able to figure out how to get your your amperes at exactly the right thing to make your heart move without damaging the tissue. You see, the problem with the conductor and the electrons moving through is the electrons bump into things. This is why your filaments get hot. This is why your electrical wires get hot. This is why what the damage that happens to you, that's not just nerve damage and stuff, you get electrical burns because what's happening is the cells cook because they're getting hit with electrons.
Sate.
Aduh, jangan Pak. Jangan.
So you're saying that if somehow the electrons passes through our body, then we won't feel any shock.
If there's not much of them, yes. If there's only one or two bumping, doesn't do much.
We should try an experiment.
We should try
No,
to do that.
let's not try an experiment because there's
The experiment.
So there are some weird things that happen when people do get hit by lightning. So one thing it will do is you can see the scar patterns that happen on them. Actually, some of them are quite beautiful.
Lichtenberg figures.
What's it
Can
called?
you search the beautiful lightning scar patterns instead of scar?
They're called Lichtenberg figures.
Are they Lichtenberg figures? Are they? Well, this is the stuff that happens to people. That's the shape of the lightning strikes.
Like, you want a tattoo?
Free
No,
tattoo.
this is actually what happens when someone gets hit by them. What did you call them?
I mean, that's the beautiful one, but what is
Lichtenberg
figures.
where do you learn how to write in
It's
German?
Yeah, they happen inside other things as well. Like they can happen in wood when wood gets hit by lightning. So this would be what would happen if you hit a piece of wood with lightning, I guess. But the ones on humans are interesting. Like this guy's back, for example.
Oh God.
I mean, that guy, you can see where it traveled and burnt out certain parts of his body. I think that's a guy. Anyway.
I don't even want to tell if it's a guy or a girl.
Anyway.
But why is it like? Why there's a thick spot in the middle?
I don't
there?
think that's really important, but okay.
It's really interesting. I kind of like the
Mr. Hendrick, do you want to get a free tattoo?
Sandro, we should get a tattoo for you.
Yeah.
Just get some car batteries and then stick it in your back.
This is not some. But look, you can see that there's also blistering that's happened where there's very bad skin damage. Okay, so it's not.
Sandro, can we not look at this?
I'm sorry. I was just trying to show to you without you actually attempting this yourself that by putting electricity through the human body, it causes burn damage.
I think Dylan wants to do it more.
If I want to have tattoo right here,
we have really
Dylan, I can help you anytime.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let me just finish up some of the things on here.
not done. I thought we were done long ago.
No,
Practically, I'm dead.
Don't think of it like that. Why is everything disappearing? There we go. Okay. What I would like to make sure that you understand is that the power generation, which we haven't talked about yet, goodness. An example of the power generation, at least in this particular session that we've done, is we've looked at a battery, but there are other forms of electrical power generations, like these electric pumps. There are
A generator.
You can have a generator, correct. They can also be generators.
A fan.
No, not necessarily. I don't think a fan makes electrical energy. A fan uses electrical energy. If you have used, this doesn't generate a lot of electrical potential energy, but it generates a lot of voltage, but it doesn't have a lot of power per se. But if you rub a piece of cloth on a bit of plastic, you can, or if you rub a balloon on your hair, you're generating electricity there. So there is also rubbing can also cause can also generate your electricity. Is there anything else? We've looked at electrical resistance slightly. It's the inverse of conductivity. For most conductors, increased temperature means increased resistance. We talked about that. They went low at 0. I haven't missed anything there. Thickness of the wire. We look at thickness of wire, length, and area. Great. Okay, we've done that. And then we got to ohm.
Are you like shoving everything to the Zoom? Are we not gonna have another Zoom talking about this?
No,
too?
we are going to have another Zoom. It's just that if you don't want to have one, I'm trying to make sure that we don't have to do one tomorrow. You can if you want.
I don't want to do.
You don't want to have a Zoom tomorrow because
I don't mind.
Friday's a day off.
I mean, I don't mind. Other people might.
Of course, Dylan doesn't mind. He wants that too.
Yeah, with a tattoo.
Well, we've
Correct
covered
this
the
tattoo.
we've covered the basics of how current moves. We've looked at resistance. Basically, if you have a lot of resistance, it kind of stops the flow of the electrons. Now, when you're stopping the flow of those electrons, they tend to cause some, friction, kinetic energy transfer. It'll cause heat. It'll cause light. It'll cause something to happen. We're then going to go into next week. I want to look at AC and DC. Okay. So we'll get into AC and DC next week. I think that's enough for today. Feel free to do questions on the homework 4, 5, 6. Yeah, do questions 4, 5, 6 to start with. Okay.
Oh, we have no Zoom tomorrow, right?
No, we covered everything in the hour. We're good.
Okay.
The only time Yedam talks is asking for Zoom.
Do you have a problem with the Jonathan? At least I talk.
She knows what's important.
Yes.
Mr. Andro, you know what else is important?
What?
The fact that probably everyone here was probably like listening to music without their mics and just listening along and not getting what you're saying.
You mean, John? I'm right here.
Excuse me.
Excuse Vietnam.
I've been listening
I was
to
just
people
eating my
torturing me.
potato. Leave me
Can
alone.
I say I have been listening to the Coffin Dance meme music for the last 2 days since my son found it.
Coffin blood dead music.
I think Mr. Andrew, I think it's a sign from God that your time is.
Don't be surprised if you have some visitors.
Yes.
What do you mean?
The people.
The four men dancing.
6 men
People
dancing.
go, like you look
I
at your
hear
door
music.
window and then you just see them
You
dancing.
hear the music.
putting
They're
your-
just looking at you too,
It's just so catchy. Ugh.
Catchy.
Whoa,
Is-
whoa.
Catchy.
Yeah, that is pretty catchy.
I mean, you're not
Don't
wrong.
catch that.
The
Dylan,
black
that's
pepper's
called
pretty.
if you. Dang.
Don't catch them feelings. Don't catch them death.
You know,
Must-
nowadays, if you want to meet the 4 dude celebrities, then you just need to, go to death.
Okay, we're getting into meme territory here, so I think we need to just reel it back in. What is there any questions before Monday?
Is Monday the test or something?
No, Monday's the next Zoom. If you want to ask questions about the history assignment, you may. Did everybody get the other person's history assignment?
Yes.
For the critics, do we just put comments and be
sure.
like this?
No. You need to do a page of well-written, well-researched work. There is still the requirement for MLA.
So do we be like, wait, MLA, okay.
This means that the person who gets your work, and by the way, those MLA citations better not be the same MLA citations. Don't just use the MLA citations that the person that you're critiquing used.
Do we research a new a topic, a new thing in the internet?
You should do something that adds to their work in some way. gives them a new idea, gives them a new perspective.
Mr. Hydro.
Yep.
So can you write it to the person? So like it's sort of a narrative, not narrative,
Yes.
but like
Dear
like a
sir,
letter
I really
form?
appreciated the way that you used this particular skill to elucidate this piece of its material. However, I would advise you to look also at the works of John Glubb on the Roman Empire, on the rise and falls of empires. That sort of thing.
Mr. Hindro, can we go now?
So it's like
Yes, thank you.
so it's like we're writing a letter to them.
Yeah. It's a critique.
Saying why so saying like why their essays suck or something.
No, that's not what I said.
Oh, really?
I
I can say that?
said, if you do say that, you better give them a suggestion on how to fix it.
So
Nah,
I'll be
just
like,
leave it like that.
No, that will get you a bad grade.
So I'll be like, oh, Timothy, Timothy's talking about the president Donald Trump and the president the other guy, right? So I'll be like, oh, I like your idea, but it has some flaws such as this and this, and I give information.
Yeah, like he was comparing Herbert Hoover and Donald Trump.
Donald Trump.
Yeah, so instead of just doing direct comparisons, you're trying to do comparisons to make a prediction. So if you're saying, well, these guys are, what was your analysis, Tim? They're both from the business world.
Yes.
Hello,
I
Tim?
can tell you his prediction.
Yeah. So they're both from the business world. How did that go?
They both turned out to be millionaires.
Right. But how did that go for the country?
You want me to tell his prediction? I know it.
It made the country, that means they knew how to manage the country's economy, kind of.
And yet, under both those presidents, the economy tanked. Can you see the similarity under Herbert Hoover? He's done most of his economic stuff has been stock market centered. So he hasn't boosted everybody, he's boosted the rich. Donald Trump, the economy rise is actually just a boosting of the rich. You can compare that with something like, so this would be something you could add. You could add, Dylan, you could add analysis of the Russell index as compared to, say, the Dow Jones.
What's a Russell and what's a Dow Jones?
Okay, so the Dow Jones is a stock market index.
Is that English?
Yes, I'm writing it down here.
Okay.
Now, the Dow Jones is a list of companies, and they measure that stock, and it's a measure of how healthy the stock market is. But the Russell index is different. The Russell index does not use rich companies like Apple, BHP, all those places. They don't, all those rich companies. They don't use them. They use medium to low income companies to see how medium to low companies are doing. It hasn't been as good. It's actually been really bad. So medium companies and low income companies doing badly. Rich companies doing even better.
Is that good or is that bad?
It's saying that the economic booms prior to this stock market crash and prior to the Great Depression stock market crash have really been enriching the rich. If the rich have been getting richer, there hasn't been as much help for the poor.
Wait, what happened if I agree with Tim's thing?
Give him more information on another angle to look at it. So what did you agree with?
No, I'm just saying what if.
Yeah, but what I didn't read. What did you agree with? So let's say let's use a topic that we're all familiar with. You agree with me that Thanos is the best bad guy for the Marvel Cinematic Universe?
Is Deadpool considered a bad guy?
He's not a bad. He's not the big bad end guy.
Okay, probably. Yeah, sure. Why?
Okay, so I could say I think he's the best. He's even better than Loki, and you might say, yeah, he's the best. He's better than Ultron.
Yeah.
Okay, so you agree with me, but you're looking at it from a different angle. You're not comparing Thanos with Loki, you're comparing Thanos with Ultron. Both times he wins, for example. Like you could agree. Or you might say, yeah, I agree he's better than Ultron, but Loki, man, he's so good. And then Tim could say, yeah, but Loki's really not a bad guy anymore.
So we just
So
look at
I can write something in response to his critique.
Yeah, you guys can work. The idea is that through this critiquing process, you get a better essay, Tim.
Oh.
what about me,
Who's critiquing you?
Becky?
Yeah. She'll be fine. This is why I've got 2 people critiquing your work over 2 weeks.
Just in case if one of them fails.
The idea is that, yes. The idea is that. And it might also be that it's a topic that not everybody is going to really engage with. I mean,
If I want to get
if
an
I
A,
start-
I have to give a suggestion, right? To Tim.
Yes, you have to give a suggestion.
Like, what if you da 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 da?
Not so much with the writing, just with the ideas. Remember, this is an idea. This is work with ideas. It's not
What's
work with.
with the one-page essay then?
Yes, you're writing it out as like a letter to Tim. Dear Tim.
Okay, dear Tim, your is great, but blah 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 blah. Okay, great. I read Tim. I didn't read Tim's like fully.
I really like your idea. I think it's really strong here. I think that you should also look at this. You could say, and I think you should also look at this.
So is it okay if I don't look at the big picture, but the small points he said? Because he has like a lot of small points.
Well, try and focus on the main prediction.
The economic fail. This is what he said. The prediction was that the economy is gonna crash and that Trump won't be elected again.
But it has crashed.
Yeah.
Wait, it has?
Ish. It dropped, but it's not like
Seriously? 26 million people in the United States are out of a job right now. That's similar to Great Depression levels.
well, the second he said Trump won't be elected again. Can they get elected again?
The question actually should be is who's the president after? Who's the president after Hoover? Do you know his name? He goes by 3 initials, F, D, and R.
Is it?
Yeah, I think so.
Wait. Hoover is the what president?
He's the president
the guy
before
before.
Roosevelt.
Franklin, yeah.
So Franklin Delano Roosevelt comes in. Do you think we'll get another FDR after Trump?
I really hope so.
Many people like FDR, right?
Yeah. and
Wait,
some
can
people
Obama
absolutely
get
hate
elected
him.
again?
You know what I wish? I wish that Biden runs for president and Obama runs for vice president. That would be so
Yeah.
interesting. Not in terms of, I'll get in trouble for having a political opinion here and telling you. I just think it would be interesting to have a president run as a vice president.
Like, oh, you just do this.
Anyway.
I
Okay.
get it. Thank you so much. I'm gonna
No worries.
sleep now. I'm so tired for some reason.
Okay, thank
See
you,
you
Mr.
guys.
Anthony.
I'll finish writing your exam.